Welcome back. Joining us now for more on the increasing shift of Florida voters away from the two-party system. Three fellows here. The vice chair of the Sarasota County Democratic Party, Kevin Griffith. Author of Fixing American Government and a recovering political scientist, Dr. Jeff Orenstein. And state committeeman for the GOP, Christian Ziegler. Thanks all for being here.
Thanks. Thank you.
I'll start with you, Kevin. Why the increase, do you think, in no-party affiliation?
I think part of it is that people don't understand what the parties stand for, and maybe that's been on the parties who haven't been clear enough in defining who they are and what they stand for. I mean, if you flipped on a presidential debate, a Republican presidential debate right now on any topic, let's say immigration, you might hear a variety of stances, anywhere from, you know, build a wall to guest worker program. And so if someone doesn't know what the party stands for, then, you know, why would they caucus with that party?
Well, let's look at the big picture. And Jeff, I'll ask you this question. If Ross Perot hadn't run back in '92, George Bush would have won again. If Ralph Nader hadn't run in 2000, Al Gore would have won Florida.
Absolutely.
So this third party thing...
I'm not so sure Al Gore didn't win Florida.
Well, that's another show entirely. So this is where I'm going. Doesn't a third party kind of sabotage or spike the party?
Yeah. It goes back to the origins of the American political system. The Founding Fathers didn't even mention political parties. In fact, they were strongly opposed to factions. And our whole political culture throughout the 227 years that it's evolved has been nonpartisan in the sense of anti-partisan. Americans don't believe that the political parties represent them and stand for anything other than anger and feathering your own nest.
I'm going to give you a chance to find your microphone and put it on your lapel while I ask Christian a question here. People like to say, I vote for the man or the woman, not the party. But isn't it safe to say that the two current parties, major parties, have hugely different philosophical approaches? So when someone votes for the man, not the party, what happens next?
Yeah, we do. I mean, the parties really serve a great purpose in that it delivers a clear distinction between the two parties. And we see it with the city elections here in Sarasota. A lot of times when those come, those are nonpartisan races, so no one knows if they're a Republican or a Democrat. Voters want to know who's the Republican, who's the Democrat, because, you know, there is a clear difference between the parties, between our philosophies, and between our agendas. So that's the role the parties have. And, you know, people complain about parties and they say that they're independents, but once elections come around, they really do look to the parties to inform them on the agenda of those candidates.
So there's also, go ahead.
Can I chime in on that?
Yes.
Because as the Democratic Party here in Sarasota County, in a sense, we see the shift from party affiliation to no party affiliation as a net positive. Just like Christian had mentioned, here locally, when there's a race that is nonpartisan on the ballot, such as school board or judge or some of those other races, the Democrats tend to do better because the people that go to the polls, if they're registered, you know, here in Sarasota County, the tradition has been that the Republicans have an advantage because there's more registered Republicans. But when people go and it's about the issues and they don't know whether someone's an REP next to their name or a DEM, the Democrats perform better.
And I disagree a little bit on that because I don't think it's really about the issues at that point. It's that the voters are going in a little bit less uninformed or less informed. And we hear it all the time after an election happens. Oh, I voted for oh, you know, that person's Democrat. And then they're, oh, I thought they were a Republican. I had no idea. So really the Democrats are doing better because we do have more Republicans in the area. And when you take that party label away from their name, no one knows who to vote for, and then they cast the ballot for the wrong person.
It's been very tricky in the city of Sarasota, where labels have not been used, and sometimes you don't know what the party is at all.
You know, political parties are not unified, monolithic kinds of things. Traditionally, they've had wings. They've been a left wing and a center wing and a right wing, and the two wings have overlapped. Not completely. One, the Republicans have stood out a little bit more to the right, and the Democrats have stood a little bit out more to the left. What's happening now, especially in the Republican Party, is you're having a civil war of which wing is going to take over the party. It used to be that there was such a thing as a liberal Republican. Now they're dodos. I mean, they don't even exist anymore.
Dodos.
I think the somewhat anger towards the parties really stems from anger towards Washington, what's happening in Washington. It's looking at the establishment, and I think that rubs off onto the parties, and that's where the issue is. So
we certainly are seeing that right now in this particular campaign. I was talking before the show to you about what's a bigger surprise, a billionaire businessman polling so high, or a journeyman senator from a smaller state? I mean, I'm not saying either one's going to win, but I'm saying what a shock that both of these gentlemen have scored so high.
Ray, I agree with you. It is a shock. If somebody would have asked me a year ago whether Bernie Sanders or Donald Trump had a prayer, I would have said no way. But in fact, here we are.
Which is the bigger shock?
Oh, wow.
You can think about that and get back to us.
Well, no, I would say Sanders is the bigger shock because the Republican Party has been spending the last 20 or 30 years in affiliation with the right-wing talk radio folks spewing out venom and hatred about politics. So what happens is when you have somebody who agrees with venom and hatred,
Bernie's
a lot of folks are there
because they've gotten free stuff from Obama. They got a taste. They want more free stuff, and Bernie's going to give it to them with $15 trillion costs.
I think part of it goes back to the person I saw that was interviewed in the clip before, who, you know, and it relates back to the point I made on the parties. When the parties, you know, well, let me put it this way: as the nonpartisan affiliation numbers have increased in Sarasota County, the margins for the Republicans' victories have come down. And so that's the point, I think, when it goes to what the parties are making.
We heard during that piece before that Florida, of course, is a closed state, meaning all these independent voters aren't allowed to vote in the primary.
That's right.
We also heard that might change in the state constitution in the next few years. You're shaking your head already?
I don't think it's going to change. Given the gerrymandered legislature we have, it's very unlikely we're going to have substantial political changes.
With this growing size of the independent party, maybe it needs to change.
No, it won't change. I mean, at the end of the day, you need to have two parties. You need to have two clear differences in both your ideology and your agenda. We're going to have the Republican Party. We're going to have the Democratic Party. Nothing's going to change.
I was just in Canada for the last Canadian election, and they have a proportional representation system rather than a winner-take-all. And what you have there is 3 major political parties and 4 or 5 minor political parties. There is nothing inevitable about a 2-party system. It's just that our electoral rules are winner-take-all, so you have to appeal to the middle. Unfortunately, for both parties at this point, the middle is just disgusted with politics. 15
seconds left, 1 word each. Who is going to be the winner in November?
Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton.
The Republican nominee.
And who's that going to be?
We'll see. We'll find out a lot more next week.
You can't give me a name?
You know, obviously Trump's leading right now.
All right.
But we don't know.
All right. They gave me a name, Christian. Just keep that in mind. Speaking of names, Kevin, Jeff, and Christian, thank you all for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Certainly enjoyed it. We'll be back with more about last night's show. Up next, we'll have your comments. Stay with us.